Hello, and welcome back to Soul Star Radio. This is Jacquelene Closemore. I'm coming to you live from my Melbourne CBD office. Woo-hoo! It's good to be back. Anyway, today I'm joined by the fabulous one and only, who else could possibly be him but him, Mr. JP Sears. It's fabulous to have you on the show, JP. How are you doing today, this evening, or tonight?
Jack, well, I'm convinced it's maybe all three of those at the same time. And how am I doing? I'd say pretty good for a redhead. I'm delusionally happy, and I have this illusion that I'm in control of my life, even though I'm actually not. So that's got me feeling happy and peaceful inside, and certainly thrilled to be here with you, Jacquelene, and where you're at in Melbourne. I love it there. I was just there, I think in November was my last trip there. So good to connect with you.
It's fabulous. And you were talking off air about how you think you may actually be a dolphin.
Well, I wouldn't say I think. I would say I know. I feel that. There's across the world, and especially in the Western cultures, there's a lot of gender fluidity happening. People not wanting to identify with a gender that their genitalia would, delusionally suggest they are. But that's cool, but that's child's play. So I've been really thinking, for so long, people have seen me as a person, and that's insulting, honestly. I'm brutally offended by it because I'm more species fluid than that. I don't identify as a person. I identify more as a dolphin. So at heart, I'm truly a dolphin trapped inside of a human body.
I certainly feel the energy of the dolphin with you, because there's definitely that sense of play. But I was thinking kind of like it's your spirit animal, but then off air I was saying that I think you've also got that crustacean thing happening with a bit of lobster as well. And that's because a lobster has one really big clipper, and it's really quite large, and it can take your finger off. And the other one's really quite small and gentle. So how do you deal with that?
It's a good question. I'm guessing the crusty part of me, the crustacean part of me with the aggressive claws, you're probably just feeling the hard shell around my heart. So, the hard shell is actually how I deal with my heart.
But you have a squishy heart in the middle. It's very soft.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very tender, succulent lobster meat of my heart, if I'm still following this metaphor.
Very good. Now, you've brought a beautiful book out called How to Be Ultra Spiritual, and I've been absolutely adoring your videos. I love the absolute piss take you take out of this entire industry, which often takes itself far too seriously. And so tell us a little bit, you've got 11 and a half ways to be ultra spiritual. Is that correct?
Well, 12 and a half. You're underestimating me, Jacquelene.
I'm one behind.
But yeah, the book is called How to Be Ultra Spiritual, 12 and a half Steps to Spiritual Superiority. And the book, it's written in the comedic voice of my character, taking the piss, as you mentioned, my satirical perspective about many different aspects of the New Age spiritual and health cultures. And quite honestly, I put my heart and soul into the book. And in addition to the comedic entertainment value, truly part of my heart's desire is for the comedy to deliver deeper messages. And a few of the deeper messages that are very near and dear to my heart that are meant to be embedded in the book. One would be, let go of that which served you, that no longer serves you. Another would be encouraging people to be unapologetically true to themselves, their heart. And then another message would be inviting people to stop looking for happiness where it's not and start finding happiness where it is. I think happiness is found in what we are, not what we have, not what we do. Not our status, not our possessions. So those are a few of the deeper underlying messages that I intend to be in the book as delivered by the comedic language.
Yes, absolutely. And I love that comedic language, because back in the 90s, I was actually doing a TV show here in Melbourne, and it was actually a spiritual show. And I just remember at one point going, I really don't think I can keep doing this because some of the guests just made me kind of want to go into a coma. And when I saw you coming along, and I just went, oh, thank God he's here. He's finally here. Our super dolphin has arrived, and he's jumping up and down in the waves, and he's getting us to laugh at this whole field and just see some of the absurdities in it, for what they really are. So it's a beautiful way you deliver it, and you can always tell there's a deeper vibe going on here. And an intense sense of practicality. So it's so much fun, to have you with us and delivering that. But what got you started, do you think? Where did JP come from? Who was JP the little boy?
JP the little boy, little ginger, as some would call me.
JP the early crustacean, then.
That's exactly it. So, JP the little boy, he was someone who, he was into sports, and that was fun for him, but more on the shadow side of him, because the shadow side is always more interesting. As a little boy, and honestly, as an adolescent and then young adult as well, little JP was someone who used humor to cope with pain. As a child, much like many other people, I think there's really two kinds of people in this world: those of us who are wounded and then those of us who are in denial of being wounded. So as a child, I certainly had my pain, and I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't know how to process it in a healthy, vulnerable way. So how I dealt with the deep sense of insignificance that I carried around inside is I learned to make people laugh, so that when they would laugh, I'd feel like I mattered to them, and therefore I'd feel like I was significant, which was a temporary escape from my core sense of insignificance inside. It'd last for maybe 7 minutes on a good day. Then got to find someone else to make laugh, or make that person laugh again. So after probably tens of thousands of repetitions, maybe more than that, of reading people, yep, and figuring out super quickly, and I would dare say intuitively figuring out what's this person like, what do I need to do or become in order to make them laugh, so I can feel my desperate clinging to a sense of significance again. That was a big part of little JP. And that would be like humor was a very important part of my life, really developed an inner comedian inside of me. And comedy is how comedy was actually something I used to escape myself. Yep. And now it's, fingers crossed, hopefully something I do to connect with myself, find myself, and invite other people to do that as well. And to me, that's the difference between conscious comedy and unconscious comedy.
Yeah, very, very much so. And some people will use comedy actually to harm, whereas I can see how you're using it to heal. Yeah, that's a very big difference. For sure.
I think I have so much respect for the power of humor. It's a very powerful energy, and I think I love your point of view. All energy has two polarities. It can harm, it can help. It can, and we all know about having a laugh at someone else's expense. That's a very hurtful way to use the powerful energy of humor. And it can be, on the light side, I think, a powerful alchemist of healing, where the energy of humor can help transform old pain. So, the bottom line, in my opinion, is humor comes from pain. Mm-hmm. And as it arises from pain, whether it's current pain or old pain that was once a curse and now it's a gift that creates comedy. But as humor arises from pain, is it being used to project the pain outward? In other words, that's why a hurt person tries to hurt other people. They become delusionally attempting to put the hurt on them so they can have the illusion, well, if they're hurting, then I'm not the one hurting, so let me make them hurt. But they get addicted to needing to make people hurt because it doesn't do anything to get rid of their inner hurt. Or is the humor arising from pain in a vulnerable way where it's helping to turn it inside out so that I can actually feel and process my pain? And can it be about myself so it doesn't have to be at the expense of other people? Certainly share it with other people. but comes from territory inside that I own.
Absolutely.
So for me, that helps facilitate more the helpful light side direction of humor.
Absolutely beautiful. And with that as well, like I find myself as a psychic reader, it's it can be really interesting confronting people with truth in a session. And you do coaching as well, don't you?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, with that coaching and bringing through that truth for the person to deal with, sometimes that can be really confronting. And I found a quote by Oscar Wilde that said, if you're going to tell people the truth, make them laugh or they'll kill you. And I actually went, aha.
I'm laughing, so apparently I'm not going to kill you. That's brilliant, though. I love that.
And it's like, aha, I now have the secret, because I used to, sometimes I'd confront people with the truth they weren't ready to hear, and they would, whoa, hello. Whereas now I know how to put a little bit of that flavour on there, and then they go, and they're kind of, laughing and then serious and then laughing and then serious, and they're going, oh, that feels better. And it's like, aha. Do you find that that's the vehicle you're using in the coaching sessions you're doing?
Well, I would say not very much. There is, on my comedy videos, it's like, okay, well, 95, maybe probably like 100% of my language is the language of humor on the comedy videos. If it wasn't, then they probably wouldn't be called comedy videos. But in a coaching session, I find that the right amount of humor is beautiful, and too much, now it becomes a deflection of intimacy.
Yep.
And I think reading the person, the situation, where are they at? Is it our first session? If so, of course, there's going to be more humor. If it's our 9th session, well, we feel as though there's a safe space and there won't be as much need for it. So I like to just be very in tune with the person and the individual. But after the icebreakers, I find that humor is a tool that stays on the shelf quite a bit of the time. Not all the time, but quite a bit of the time.
Absolutely. So that when people are going further into that space, then it is, it is just that natural flow that's going to happen where they can be really honest without having to do all of that. And the facades are all broken down.
For sure. And to me, your brilliant wisdom and how you marry that together with Oscar Wilde, if you're going to tell people the truth, make them laugh or they'll kill you. I think that, I love that. Thank you for teaching that to me. And to me, that really speaks to at least my experience that with myself and honestly, I think other people, but myself too, what we need to hear is typically not what we want to hear. So if you tell me what I really need to hear, and I'm not talking about things I already know, I'm talking about the compromised parts of me, what those parts of me need to hear in order to create meaningful change, which also means leaving a comfort zone. Even if it's a painful comfort zone, there's going to be comfort in the familiar discomfort of it. So being told the truth, it's like, okay, that's a force of nature that's trying to push my center of gravity. And it's like, well, let me stay addicted to the familiar, so we become resistant to the force of truth coming at us. And I think with humor, it's a bit more of a feminine energy. It's not a pushing energy, and it certainly has a playful color to it rather than a serious color. So even though it is as powerful, if not more powerful, than just being told the truth in a serious fashion, I tend to find that the human ego is far less defended in the face of having the truth conveyed through the language of humor, because it looks like there's nothing to defend against. So the truth can get in for deeper consideration before it's, without being rejected, before it even has a chance to get in for consideration.
Beautiful. We've got Ashley from Wisconsin on the line. Are you there, Ashley?
I'm here.
Hello and welcome to the show, and I'd like to connect you with JP here, who would love to speak to you. So did you have a question for JP at all?
Okay.
Well, that's a very interesting experience there, JP. I'm feeling the echoes of time almost. Is Ashley there?
The inner child is very active.
Yeah, very active. Are you there, Ashley?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, there you go. Now we've got the inner adult. So we've got JP here, and he'd love to have a chat with you if you wanted to ask a question.
Okay.
Hey, sorry, Ashley. This is JP. What's on your mind, sister?
What's on my mind? I don't know. I guess I'm just kind of wondering, because my life has been kind of rough, at least, the past couple of years, and just, I guess now I'm at, kind of like a crossroads. I could go this way or that way. So just kind of wondering, I don't know what path might be the best one for me.
Yeah, well, when you're looking at your crossroad, the path, if we pretend like you have two choices in the crossroad, and maybe you have more, but we'll pretend it's two, which path makes you more uncomfortable?
That's a hard question, because I guess they both could be a little uncomfortable for different reasons. But I guess I would say, the path that I want to go, that one makes me a little more uncomfortable than the other one.
Cool, and I'm curious, that discomfort that's associated with the path that you have a degree of wantingness to go down, what would you call that discomfort? How does it register in your body and your emotions? I'm just curious.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, what if you hit the zoom in button on the discomfort of it? The idea of taking that path, what's the discomfort feel like? Is it fear? Is it like tightness in your body? What's the feeling for you?
I guess it's fear and just kind of maybe embarrassment a little bit too.
Cool. Those are good ones. Sounds like you actually have a human heart because it's generating feelings. That's cool. And I'm curious, the embarrassment aspect, when you feel into that, who's it feel like you would be embarrassed in front of? Is it your family? Is it friends, society, everyone? But who specifically?
Yeah, basically everybody.
Gotcha. So then the question would be, in the past, how would you react to that embarrassment? And then the next question, I'll just plant it in the soil right now, is what would you imagine your heart would tell you about how to navigate it? So what have you done in the past when something was going to be potentially embarrassing?
I guess I don't really know. I mean, I guess this situation is, completely different. So, if it's not like I'm, this would be the only situation, I guess, where I would be, prepared. If, this happens, then I'm going to be embarrassed. I think this is the only situation where I know, that I would be embarrassed. How I handle it, I'm not really sure. I think I'm pretty much one of those people that would kind of run and hide and, just try to not, be around people.
Cool. So I think it's good that you can feel that reaction, and also, if I can give you a possibility to think about, you mentioned like this is the first situation of its kind, and I get that. From a literal perspective, I'm sure it is. And from a feeling-oriented perspective, which maybe is a more true reality than the situational, literal reality, my guess is you've been here before in some way, encountering a feeling or avoiding encountering a feeling, turning your back on it and going the other way. So maybe just something to think about, how you relate to the emotions of embarrassment, and maybe, I don't know about for you, but shame typically for me is intertwined in those tingles of embarrassment. So I'm curious, Ashley, if you were pretending to be in tune with the intelligence inside of your heart and pretending that intelligence cares for you, it cares more about you than your comfort. It always has you and your best interest in mind. What would you imagine this intelligence of your heart would be asking you to do in this situation in your crossroad, if you were just taking a guess?
I don't know. I guess I would say just like really think about things, and just kind of do like a pro and con list of each road, and just I guess go with the one that makes me happiest, and what one is going to make me feel less unhappy and embarrassed, and
maybe. And I appreciate your answer. And just real quick, Ashley, as we've got to wrap up, may I offer a quick delusional perspective on your wonderful answer?
Sure.
The perspective would be maybe also follow what will make you most fulfilled. Not the least embarrassed or the least unhappy, but the most fulfilled, realizing that sometimes fulfilled means we walk through the swamp of embarrassment, swamp of sadness. So just a consideration. Ashley, it's so good to meet you, sister. I know we got to get back to Jacquelene here, but so great to connect with you.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Ashley, and also JP. That was absolutely wonderful and very real.
Yeah, it was such a pleasure to have a wonderful life warrior like Ashley on the line.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me as well on Soulstar Radio, JP. We'll be posting links about you on the website, and so that people can tune into the podcast again. And it's been an absolute pleasure for you to join us, and thank you so much for being here.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, Jacquelene.